What would you be willing to sacrifice if it meant hearing God's voice more clearly? In a world that constantly tells us to indulge our desires, to satisfy every craving, why would anyone choose to go hungry? What could possibly be gained from denying ourselves food, the very thing that sustains us? Most of the time, when people don't eat, it's called dieting, a choice made for health or to lose weight. But there's another kind of hunger, a deeper and more powerful kind. It's a hunger for something beyond the physical, something spiritual. This is called fasting. Fasting is an ancient practice, one that transcends time, cultures, and even religions. But in the Bible, fasting is not just a discipline. It's a weapon that is both terrifying and transformative. Why? Because fasting opens a door to the unseen, to the spiritual realm, where battles are fought not with swords but with prayer and surrender. God created the human body as a finely tuned engine of enormous power. It requires fuel, food, to keep running. Yet, Jesus himself tells us that there's a time to deny that fuel. In Matthew 6:16-18, he says, "When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." But why fast? Why would God ask us to go without something as essential as food? Because fasting isn't just about the body. It's about the soul. It's about breaking through the physical to connect with the spiritual. When you fast, you're making a powerful statement to both God and yourself. I need you more than I need anything else, more than food, more than comfort, more than the approval of others. I need you. What happens when you fast? When you fast, you do something that is both profound and frightening. You strip away the comfort of daily routines and the pleasures of eating, and you place yourself in a vulnerable position. You begin to feel weak. Hunger pangs start to gnaw at you. Your body screams for the nourishment it's used to. And in that moment of weakness, when your body is crying out for sustenance, something strange and powerful happens. You draw closer to God. In fasting, you open a direct line to the spiritual world. You become attuned to things you couldn't sense before. Your prayers take on a new urgency, a desperation even. And God notices. He sees your hunger, your sacrifice, and he listens. But Jesus warned us in Matthew 6, don't flaunt it. Don't make a show of your fasting. Fasting is a deeply personal, spiritual discipline. It's not for public acclaim. It's between God and you. And here's the scary part. God is watching. Not just watching your actions, but your heart. He sees beyond the surface, beyond the outward show, to the very core of your being. Are you fasting for attention, or are you fasting out of a true desire to grow closer to him? The fear of fasting. For many, the thought of fasting is terrifying. Let's be honest. Going without food is not something we look forward to. The idea of not eating for a day or even a few meals can strike fear into our hearts. What if I get too weak? What if I can't make it? What if I fail? These are the questions that often plague those who have never fasted before. But here's the truth. Fasting isn't about whether or not you can physically handle it. It's about your willingness to step into discomfort for a higher purpose. It's about saying, God, I trust you to sustain me, even when I feel like I can't go on. Yes, fasting is hard. Yes, it will challenge you. But the rewards are far greater than the discomfort. When you fast, you're engaging in spiritual warfare. You're stepping onto a battlefield where the stakes are high, but the victory is sweet. Jesus himself fasted. In Luke 4:2, it says, "For 40 days being tempted by the devil, he ate nothing during those days. And when they were ended, he was hungry." Jesus, the Son of God, endured the intense physical and spiritual challenge of fasting. He didn't need to prove anything. Yet, he fasted to show us the way, to show us that sometimes, to draw closer to God, we must be willing to give up what our body craves. The discipline of fasting. Many people believe that Christianity is easy, that once you accept Jesus, you can just coast through life. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Christianity requires discipline, and fasting is one of the most difficult yet rewarding disciplines. We are soldiers in Christ's army, and a good soldier must be well versed in discipline. Fasting is like training for battle. It prepares you for spiritual warfare. It strengthens your spirit while weakening your body. But it's not just about the physical act of not eating. Fasting is about your heart. God cares more about the condition of your heart during a fast than he does about how long you go without food. It's like when a man proposes to a woman. It's not the length of the proposal that wins her over. It's the sincerity of his love. When you fast, focus on your heart's posture. Don't worry so much about the length of time. Whether you fast for one meal or for several days, what matters most is your heart's desire to grow closer to God. Fasting is an act of faith, a leap into the unknown, trusting that God will meet you there. How to start fasting. If you've never fasted before, the idea of going without food may seem overwhelming. But don't let fear stop you. Start small. Skip one meal. God sees your heart and he will honor even the smallest step of faith. In the Old Testament, Jews were required to fast for one day during Yom Kippur. A day, according to the Jewish calendar, began at sundown and ended at sundown the following day. This meant they went without food from one evening to the next. You can start your fast the same way, by skipping your evening meal, then breakfast and lunch the next day. After the sun goes down, you can break your fast with a normal meal. If you're fasting for a specific reason, whether it's for guidance, healing, or breakthrough, consider inviting someone to fast with you. Jesus said in Matthew 18:18-19, "Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven." There's power in numbers. When two or more agree in fasting and prayer, God moves. The types of fasting. There are different types of fasting, each with its own level of difficulty and commitment. The absolute fast is the most extreme. In an absolute fast, you consume no food and no water. Paul followed this type of fast for 3 days after encountering Jesus on the road to Damascus. Acts 9:9. This fast is not for beginners and should only be attempted when facing severe spiritual challenges. The normal fast involves abstaining from solid foods, but drinking liquids like water or juice. Jesus fasted this way during his 40 days in the wilderness. Luke 4:2. This fast, also called the Daniel fast, involves giving up certain types of food while still eating others. This fast allows you to eliminate certain foods for a set period of time, focusing more on prayer and spiritual growth. Conclusion. Whatever type of fast you choose, remember this. Fasting is a leap of faith. It's an act of surrender, a way of saying to God, I need you more than I need anything else. And when you fast with a sincere heart, God sees. He sees your sacrifice, your struggle, and your desire to draw closer to him. And in his timing, he will reward you.